Welcome to Populations and Ecosystems Investigation 8, Adaptations. In this investigation, students are introduced to adaptations through video and multimedia simulations. They study the impact of predation on insects in different environments. Investigation 8, Adaptations is comprised of two parts. Part 1, Identifying Adaptations. Students learn that an adaptation is any trait of an organism that enhances its chances of surviving and reproducing in its environment. Part 2, Walking Sticks. Students conduct simulated predator-prey interactions over multiple generations to investigate the effect of protective coloration on the color characteristics of a population of walking sticks. At the end of the investigation, students will be able to investigate the adaptive value of protective coloration, explain how protective coloration affects populations, explain how adaptations help organisms survive in a specific environment, and describe how population can change over time in response to environmental factors. As always, behind the investigation tab is a matrix that sums up all of the information that you need to be aware of for the investigation. Please take the time to read through it to help you prepare yourself for providing instructions for the investigation. Investigation 8, Part 1, Identifying Adaptations, Session 1. Engage students in the activity by assigning a quick write. Have students write a response to the following question. Give them 6 minutes to write their response. Remind students that when they do quick writes, there's no right or wrong answer. Their response shows what they think about the topic, and they will come back to the response after they have completed some investigative work on the topic to see how their thinking might have changed. Next, identify different marine environments and introduce the kelpfish into each for a few seconds. Ask students to comment on what they observed when the fish is in each environment. Use the scripted questions to guide the discussion, focusing on the last question as it segues into the next section of the investigation. Next, introduce the definition of adaptation. Write the definition on the board and have students copy it into the glossary section of their notebooks. Next, read the article Adaptations. Do a read aloud using ELA strategies, stop and jot, annotation, talking to the text, to name a few, and have students work in groups to answer the question. Investigation 8, Part 1, Identifying Adaptations, Session 2. Show students a video of an octopus changing colors. Play the video several times so students can see the octopus blend into its surroundings as it changes color. Use descriptive questions in the teacher's guide to discuss the octopus's adaptations, focusing on the last question as it can be tricky for some students. The octopus's adaptation is more complex. The adaptation is the ability to change color to blend into its environment, not the color itself. Reinforce the idea that adaptations are structures and behaviors of organisms that enhance their ability to survive and reproduce. Next, have students think about one organism from the eco-scenario investigation and have them identify 3 different adaptations the organism uses for surviving and reproducing successfully. Provide a few examples of adaptations to give students an entry point. Allow students time to discuss their organism and its adaptations. Give students 5 minutes to share it with the class. Next, prepare students for a video called Strangers in Paradise. Begin by discussing the unique conditions of the Hawaiian ecosystem. From the teacher's guide, write the 2 focus questions on the board and tell students that they are to think about these questions as they view the video. Distribute the student sheet and review the 8 organisms, telling students that they should pay particular attention to these organisms in the video. The video should take about 2 days to view, 30 minutes for each section. After students have finished viewing the video, have them complete the student sheet and answer the second focus question. Once students have completed the assignment, have them choose one organism from the video and write a report. The report should contain information about the adaptation that affects the organism's ability to survive and reproduce, its ability to obtain the basic requirements of life, and a discussion about how the organism's adaptations might be a disadvantage if the environment were to change. Assess progress using the student sheet. Read through the student sheets and determine their level of understanding. Discuss the adaptations. Go through the list of 8 organisms and use the scripted questions in the teacher's guide for further discussion. Part 2 of Investigation 8, Walking Sticks, Session 1. Tell students that this part of the investigation centers on one of the organisms found in the rainforest of El Yunque Caribbean National Forest in Puerto Rico, the walking stick. Use Transparency 17 to project the walking stick and read the natural history from the eco-scenario card. Explain that the walking sticks come in different shades of greens and browns, and that color is a feature of walking sticks. Tell students they will be using computers to work on a population of walking sticks. The individuals in the population vary in color from green to brown, and walking sticks are preyed upon by birds. Write a focus question on the board for students to think about as they work through the simulation. Next, make a chart that is similar to the one on the student sheet, project it on the board, or draw it on the board to show students how to use it when collecting information. Next, model for students how they will navigate through the simulation. Tell them that they will be the predator and they will be trying to eat the walking sticks. First, demonstrate the 30 clicks and then the 30 seconds. Review the results, have students return to the focus question, write a response, and share out to the class. Now we will have students working on the computer simulation. What I do is I project the program on the screen and have students take turns in the role of predators. I tell them that there are 3 environments and 5 generations for each. Unfortunately, all members of the class will not be able to act as predators. I do this in this method because I do not have enough time within the class day to allow all students to work on a computer doing this program. So I found in the past that it is easier to just do it as a whole class and have students collect information at the end of the 5th generation for each of the environments. After students have acquired data for all the generations of the environments, have them respond to the following questions. If you decide to use the 30-second simulation at the end of your simulation, have students discuss the effects of time on the color that best survived. Next, use the script in the teacher's guide to discuss the protective coloration as an adaptation. Pose a question for students, have them work in groups to discuss the following question and to provide a response. After students form their ideas, have them go back to monitor population change over the 5 generations of their environments. Tell them that they will be graphing the data. Use Transparency 18, Walking Stick Population, to demonstrate for students what information they should be graphing and how the graph should look. Have students use the data from their graphs to analyze the population dynamics. Use the teacher's guide for further discussion. Session 3 of Walking Sticks, Introduce Feature and Trait. Tell students walking sticks look a particular way and do particular things that define them. Their general structures, characteristics, and behaviors are known as organism features, and specific examples of features are called traits. Practice with the new vocabulary. Give students some sentences and call on them to finish them. Continue this mantra with other organisms until you feel comfortable that students are starting to get a sense of the distinction between feature and trait. Next, tell students that when there are several traits for the same feature in a population, this is called variation. Contrast walking stick and octopus adaptations. Discuss the adaptations. Next, assess student progress. Have them do a self-assessment by returning to the quick write and comment on their original ideas about adaptations. They should number the statements they wish to correct, modify, add to, or eliminate. Finally, assess the progress using the mid-summative exam, number 8. This concludes Investigation 8.